mother begged for getting my husband's wedding ring stuck on his finger. My husband and I wear our wedding rings every day, even when we go to sleep. I just love wearing both my engagement and wedding ring, and I never take it off. I also don't want my husband to take his ring off, because seeing him without his ring makes me uncomfortable. A few days ago, my husband's fingers were growing, and that was making his ring slightly tight to wear. He asked me about that, but I told him to not remove his ring because I like seeing him wear this ring every day. It's a sign that we are married. Yesterday, his fingers were swelling a bit, and he asked me again whether he should still keep wearing his ring because his ring feels slightly tired. I asked him to keep wearing it and to not worry about that, since his finger will stop swelling, so we went to sleep. But when we woke up, his finger was swollen and his ring was really stuck. Luckily, his ring was not cutting his circulation, so nothing emergent was happening. He was really uncomfortable and asked why I told him to wear his ring, because now his ring is stuck and he cannot remove it. He suggested we go to a jewelry store to get his ring cut off, but I didn't want his ring to be cut off, so we attempted to remove his ring. We tried Windex, soap, oil, dental floss, string, shoelace, holding his hand in cool water. Nothing worked, and his finger is hurting a lot. But luckily, his finger stopped swelling further, and no circulation cut too. I begged him to not go to a jewelry store and to just keep waiting until his fingers shrink. He was very sad about not being able to remove his ring. I told him that I was very sorry that I got his ring stuck, but he was not angry at all, and he was sympathetic towards me. I told him that we will try again later. He was okay with that, although a bit sad. His ring is still stuck, but no circulation cut. So I mother begged for getting his wedding ring stuck on his finger. I mother begged for yelling at my sister-in-law for comments on my daughter's adoption. So me and my husband, who we'll call David, adopted an indigenous child last year, who let's call Kaya. My husband has a sister, who we will call Mary. Mary likes to think of herself as very woke. I support her, and I think it's good, although sometimes I think she may go overboard. Since we have adopted Kaya, Mary has commented on things like that. People won't believe you her parents, which admittedly I've been pissed off about and told her to keep quiet. But I've never seen her change her behavior around the subject of Kaya's adoption. Keep in mind she will make a comment like this almost every time we see her. Recently, I found out I was pregnant and we announced we were having another baby to our family, and everyone was very happy for us. Although Mary didn't seem too happy, I didn't question it because I wanted to keep it a happy moment. We have been exposing Kaya to her culture and teaching her basic words in Ojibwe. This is where the problem began. The other day, I decided to host a family dinner for a mini celebration over that I was pregnant. At dinner, we had my parents and my in-laws over, which included my mother-in-law, father-in-law, Mary, and David's other brother, who we'll call Jack. So when we sat down to eat, Kaya demonstrated her learning by saying love, Saagi in Ojibwe. Maria went silent and didn't say anything, while everyone else oohed and awed about Kia. I turned and asked Mary what was wrong. She said, I'm glad Kay is learning about her real culture now. At least you're not stealing this baby from a minority too. I lost it. I screamed at her saying it sounds like she's against adoption, and why did she care so much we adopted Kaya? I then told her to get out. She laughed and dinner was pretty awkward after that. My parents, David and Jack, are all on my side, but Mary and my mother-in-law and father-in-law say I was too harsh, and she didn't mean any harm. Mary has since made any angry posts about me to Facebook, left many voicemails and texts from her and her friends, etc. I've told her she's no longer welcome around me, Kaya, or the new baby. I'm starting to think I may be going too far, but I want more options. So, am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for not making a separate trip to pick up my daughter's birthday gift from her dad? Long story short, my ex doesn't see the kids. He's supposed to have them 2 nights a week, but just doesn't pick them up. He hasn't for 4 years. He doesn't talk to my youngest now and then. Youngest daughter turns 14 today, but she's going out of town with my brother and my mom this afternoon. So last night we celebrated his birthday and me, my fiancé, and her siblings took her to dinner in her favorite restaurant. Ex called her yesterday morning and asked if we were able to stop by and pick up birthday gift that he had for her. He lives about a 45 minutes drive from my house, so I said we will stop by after we went to dinner, which is only about a 10-minute trip from his house. We were all in my fiancé's truck when we went to my ex's house. He was driving because honestly, both him and I prefer he drives, especially when me and all the kids are together since his vehicle is bigger. When we pulled up, daughter called her dad to tell him we were there. He came outside to meet her. When he saw we were all in fiancé's vehicle, he started cussing and yelling and just stomped back inside and told my daughter that she could pick up her gift another time. She was so upset and started crying. My other 2 kids texted their dad and told him off. They don't normally talk to him. We left and told her that it wasn't worth if he was going to act like that. She has tried to call him a few times since and he won't answer his phone. I know he doesn't like my fiancé even though he's never really met him. But I honestly didn't want to make a special trip across town just to pick up a birthday present from him for my daughter. My daughter has absolutely no problem with going after dinner to get his gift, knowing all of us will be there. So am I the bad guy for not making a separate trip to his house with just my daughter in order to pick up her gift? Am I the bad guy for giving my family an ultimatum? I grew up in a family with a big sister and 2 younger siblings. Me and my big sister already moved out, but currently my family is basically dependent on me. Here is the thing. My big sister has a daughter and she raises her by herself. My younger siblings still live with my mother. Until a year ago, my dad was the one who brought the money home, but he died in an accident. And since my mom and him had a very traditional marriage, she was a stay-at-home mom, and all of a sudden had to take care of the money as well. And on top of that, my sister's boyfriend left her when he found out she was pregnant, meaning that my dad also paid everything for her as well. With him as a financial basis, someone had to compensate it. And that was me. After I finished my studies, I was able to attend a high-paying job and I was able to save a huge amount of money for bad times. And both my mom and my sister asked me if I could help them out. And since I love them and want to help them, I said yes and started to pay the bills for both of them. On the one side, there was my mom with my younger brother and sister, and on the other side was my big sister with my niece. Don't get me wrong, I liked doing it at first because I liked the fact that I could help them, but both of them promised me that they only need a bit of time to find a job and give me a time span of maybe once a month. Their promises are now a year old, and I ask them every month if they found something. They always try to find an excuse like, oh, the children have this and that's why I don't have time to look for a job yet. And they say this every time I ask. Even offered to pay someone to take care of the children for a while so they have time to look for a job and attend it, but they refused. So I gave them an ultimatum. I told them that even though I love to help them, I feel like they are using me. I told them I'm going to pay the bills for the next 3 months and then cut my supper off entirely except for the children's education and health care. So by this time, they have to find a job, and I think that 3 months is enough time. I also offered again to pay someone to take care of the children while they are doing so. But I want to them take financial care of their children by themselves, because if something happens to me as well, they couldn't take care of the children's anymore. And I don't want that. When I told both of them this, they call it an bad guy behavior, and that I couldn't understand because I don't have a children. Which is true, but again, I offered them someone to take care of them while they are looking for job. I told them that relying on me alone doesn't work, and I'm not their personal bank. But they insist that I'm the one with the bad guy behavior. So, am I? I'm not the bad guy for yelling at my family during our family reunion. So, background. I met my husband 10 years ago. I was a drag queen and he was a security guard. We started dating 8 years ago and got married 3 years ago. I come from a Christian Republican family in the South. So naturally, my family was against me marrying him. There has been threats to have me taken into conversation comes many times. The story. Every year we had a big family reunion, and we've got every year, but since I got married to my husband, we've been made to either sleep in a hotel together, or I take my bed and he takes the couch. They don't do this with any other families until I married my husband. This caused many issues between me, my husband, and my family. But after the first year, I started having a suspicion I'm the only one getting a hotel room. This was confirmed last week when we had the family reunion, and I showed up earlier than planned with my husband. I was supposed to show up at 10, but I showed up with my husband at 8:30 with breakfast for my parents. I thought it was just them. Everyone was in their own rooms, and then a fight broke out. My mom saw me and yelled at me for being early. So I dropped the breakfast and made a mess. Then I yelled at my mom for lying to me. My father showed up and yelled at me for yelling at my mom. Then my husband got in the middle of us, at which point the rest of my family was getting out of their rooms, the ones we weren't already out. And so I yelled at them for treating me differently. My husband then got me and took my hand and took me out. He took my car keys and we ended up driving back to our hotel room. I cried for about an hour while my family was calling me and texting me. Where I may be the bad guy, my cousin called me today and told I need to be understanding as me being gay and having a husband makes the family uncomfortable when we sleep together. And it wasn't fair of the family for me to lash out at them. And that I need to make a public apology to the family to help lessen the issues. But I told her it wasn't fair. I'm being treated different than everyone else, which just made us yell at each other again. So, am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for pointing out my mom plays favorites? My mom has always had clear favorites between my sister and me. My mom got divorced when I was 8. She got full custody over both of us. And ever since that day, my dad decided to go no contact. She has always shown her favoritism for my sister. I don't know if it's because my sister looks like her and I look like my dad. Madame has dark skin, is short, small nose, big eyes, big lips. She's also more on the heavier side. Results on her having a big chest. My sister looks the exact same except that she's tall, while I'm pale, short, big nose, small lips, and my body looks like a twig. When I was little, She did things I didn't realize were favoritism, like buying my sister everything she wanted, while if I asked for a bottle of water, I was being a spoiled little brat. She went to all of my sister events, concerts, graduation, competition, etc. Well, she completely skipped when I graduated from high school and early college at 16. Ever since that, I started noticing her bland favoritism towards her and began pointing her out on it. Every time I did, she would play the victim and act like I was doing it on purpose to call her a bad mom, and that if I wasn't grateful, then she would kick me out. Once she pointed out how I look exactly like my father and how my body was basically the same because my body looked like a man's body. After this, I started writing down every time she did anything to favorite my sister or did something on notebook during Christmas. I had it with me, and when she gave my sister $5,000 as a gift and only gave me some socks and a candle, I went to write it on my notebook. When my aunt saw me, she took it from me and she went back to show everyone else in the family. She read all the dates I had and what happened that day. Half of my family started yelling at my mom because some of the stuff she did are considered straight up abuse and neglect. I'm currently in college and I'm getting sent texts about how I did it on purpose, and I am a bad guy by half of my family, and the other half about how I need to stay strong. My mom and sister have refused to speak with me until I apologize to them for the trauma I caused them. So, am I the bad guy here? Am I the bad guy for not attending to my mother's funeral? I didn't attend to my mother's funeral after she had told me about a problem I've had with her when I was 13. Apparently, I broke a laptop she had bought to me and my sister. Well, I didn't break it still. She kept saying that I was the one that broke the laptop. It got to the point where she demanded the money I had saved for nearly 3 years to fix it. I had well over $500 from doing tasks around the neighborhood. She only needed 60 for it and refused to tell us what the problem was. She used the rest of my money and the casino, and from a stroke of luck, she got a jackpot. She hated telling us she sold some lands. When I asked her if she could give me my $500 back, she refused. She told me, well, your actions have consequences and you must be educated. Fast forward 13 years, I'm now working on a minimum wage job, barely affording rent. I got to visit her on the hospital where doctors diagnosed her with a terminal lung cancer. She's come from a family of heavily smokers, so it's not a surprise. And tells me the truth about the casino. And that's she broke the laptop. She took my money for something that she needed. I was furious. I stormed out of the hospital and went to my apartment. Some week later, I'm told about her funeral. I didn't cooperate a single penny for it. And when they came, and I wasn't there, the other relatives decided to take action. At first, it was some calls asking me why I wasn't there. Then humiliation. They keep telling me that I was such a horrible person for not attending to my mother's funeral after such a small issue. I'm starting to cut communication with them. So, am I the bad guy here?